This chapter has an introduction and then 3 conversations between Faye and Kate, between the sheriff and Kate, and again between Faye and Kate. First of all, the introduction. Steinbeck's first paragraph talks about how towns are started, particularly out west in the early 1900s. And he said that there's different kind of people, and some people are good at exploring and being the first to do something. And then there's another type of person that can usually pick that ball up and run with it. And so some people are good at starting businesses, but they're not really good at being the CEO 2 or 3 years later. And he said the reason that people are probably good at starting towns in the first place is they weren't good at living in towns somewhere else. So what happens when the town gets cracking, when things do get started and time starts to set there at a place? Well, 2 institutions come in. Both of those institutions serve to relieve men and women of the stresses and the pressure of life, and those 2 institutions are the churches and the whorehouses. And so in that respect, the churches and whorehouses somewhat provide the same service, 2 sides of a coin, in that they offer relief from all the terrible stresses of life. But in contrast, where the churches are vying for attendance and people to join them, the whorehouses in this community actually work out well because they're all offering a different service. And so if you want to just have a laugh and a good time, you go to Jenny's. If you want to have a passionate time, you go to the Long Green whorehouse. And now Faye has moved into town, and this is your grandma's kitchen baking kind of whorehouse where the sexual intercourse seems like a surprise and incidental to the experience as a whole. So just like you can get a hamburger at 3 different fast food places, but each fast food place specializes in a different type of cheeseburger, so these whorehouses are offering a different experience. So Steinbeck contrasts them, and I think humorously says that the whorehouses are quiet and more civil, and the churches are loud and boisterous. And I'm sure that's a pretty good zing in 1952 for someone to have that take. Anyway, we get the other side of the story of what's been happening down at the Trask household. Now we start to get sort of the previous year, what's been going on with Kate. Well, she first came to Faye's, and Faye, just like Charles, way back in Connecticut, and here in California, just like Lee and Sam, Faye is not stupid, and she just sees that there's definitely something wrong with Catherine, Kathy, Kat, Kate, and so she runs her by the sheriff just to make sure she's not going to get herself in any trouble. So she smells that something initially doesn't add up, but then she starts to look at her, and a prostitute is good, Steinbeck says, is good if they can be 2 things. If they can work consistently and they can get along with the other prostitutes, and she has regular prostitutes, and she not only gets along with the other girls, she's the most thoughtful ringleader, and then she does even more than those 2 things. She not only retains a list of regulars and gets along with the other girls, but she takes over all these things that aren't normally the job of a prostitute, so she's proactive. So proactive that what does Steinbeck says? That she has busy hands. And so if you're a careful reader, you remember that Samuel Hamilton got the got the chills from first meeting Kate, and he gets back home, and his wife Liza, what she really wants to know is not about Kate's eyes, but her hands, and Samuel doesn't remember, so he thinks, well, her hands must have been idle. And then Liza says, I don't want you going back to a place that has money and idle hands, because that's the devil's work. And you know what? It seems she's right, except that when Kate gets to a whorehouse, all of a sudden her character changes, and she has busy hands. Then, at the conclusion of that conversation, we have a really foreboding moment when Faye refers to her as her daughter. So in the previous chapter, I said that there were 5 men in Adam's life fulfilling some sort of fatherly role, even if it was just for a few moments. Well, now Faye is going to perform a motherly role to Kate, and let's see how those father and mother figures figure into these two characters' future. Then we have a flashback to a year prior when the events of the last few chapters have taken place. And the way that happens is Faye asks Kate what happened when the sheriff came in. And so we get the scene that way from a year prior. Well, we just basically get the true story of what happened. Somehow the sheriff is not stupid. He's figured out the whole thing. Not only that she shot Adam, not only her identity, but also her attempted abortion back up in King City. And so she's honest because she doesn't really have any other choice. She is completely cornered, except she tells one lie. And her one mistake that the sheriff calls out is she says she's sorry. And he says, "You're not sorry." And just like Charles back in Connecticut, way back in chapter 3, Steinbeck says that he had an unblemished record of never feeling remorse or regret. Kathy, also with the C name, now renamed herself Kate. Nevertheless, she's of the same ilk, and the sheriff calls her out and says, "You're not sorry. I know you're not sorry. I know your type, and you're not sorry." She's just like Charles. And he says, "I know your type. We used to hang people, and there was someone like you that I hanged," which harkens back to Samuel's memory of his childhood and seeing someone hanged. So if you have anyone who has some wisdom, has some life experience, whether you're Faye, Samuel, or the sheriff, you look at Kate and you know something is dreadfully, dreadfully long. So she sums up that story, and Faye says, "Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you had that conversation. Did you tell him what you're doing here?" And she says, "No, I wouldn't tell him because I'm protecting someone." And Steinbeck notes that in that instance, Kate told Faye the best kind of lie. He told her the truth. And so all through the book, we've seen that Cyrus and Kate, they are satanic, demonic, in that the straight out lies aren't the hard ones. The hard ones are when the lies sound like the truth and the truth sounds like lies. And Cyrus was only a beginner level, and Kate is a master of this. We know that in the future chapters, whatever is going to happen between Kate and Faye, we know something. We know that Kate is a phony. We know that from her entire character, but we know that just from this chapter, knowing that when she goes out in the hallway, she wipes off a kiss like a little boy when an old lady kisses him on the head. He wipes off the kiss. So we know that the whatever affection or love or kind words she may give Faye in the next chapter or two, we know it's phony because she's wiping off kisses when she walks out. Also, there is a little bit of a double entendre there when Faye is eating snacks and she's eating a type of Mexican candy. Well, the name of that Mexican candy is also a euphemism for genitalia, female genitalia, and there's a shell mixed in. So maybe I'm thinking about this too much, but it almost seems like Faye has a sweet little candy, and that is a euphemism for the vagina, but there's a shell mixed in. So it seems like it's a sweet little candy, but it's also going to break your tooth, and it's got a tiny little shell, but it's going to do damage, and Faye even calls that out and says, "Oh, I thought it was a giant thing. It's just this little thing." So maybe I'm just guessing that that's some sort of symbol for who Kate is. You think she's a sweet little thing, but the bite is going to be hard. And then the chapter comes to a close with some seriously heavy-handed foreshadowing. Well, to solve Faye's tooth ache from eating this Mexican candy, Kate goes over to her medicine cabinet, and Faye praises one of the drugs there. And so that just seems foreboding. Why did Steinbeck end the chapter with saying that whoever created that drug is a saint? And why does Steinbeck want to draw our attention to that medicine cabinet and Kate's access to it?